Question on fluoride excretion in humans, right? Tamarind intake is likely to help in delaying progression of fluorosis by enhancing urinary excretion of fluoride. That's code for tamarind cleanses the body through the urinary tract of fluoride. Straight up. How amazing is that? Tamarind. So we came up with a formula that's tamarind based. I love tamarind, and it's pretty amazing. Now, what else can help? Now look at this. Y'all might want to take a picture of that. Apple cider vinegar, carvacrol. Where do we get carvacrol from? Several different herbs, mainly oregano. It's from the oil of oregano. Neem extract, iodine in small amounts, tamarind, we mentioned that, and garlic. I love garlic, but y'all, as a therapy, it's so hard to get people to take garlic, and I really, myself don't enjoy taking it because you sweat the stuff out, and it smells. Raw organic chocolate, everybody's going to go load up on just tons of chocolate. Not Hershey's. Raw organic chocolate in its purest form can help detoxify the pineal gland because of cacao's high antioxidant content. Cacao will also help stimulate the pineal gland a little bit. We're talking a bite or two of dark chocolate, 8 o'clock p.m. instead of sitting with popcorn or eating a bunch of stuff. Get your little bite of chocolate because chocolate's a drug, y'all. It's got theobromine, it's got all kind of fun stuff that's good for you. And, it's good at night when you should, instead of drinking a glass of fresh wine, it's going to give you glyphosate and some chocolate. Try to get glyphosate free. Don't know about this? Reishi? Reishi mushroom. I love reishi mushroom. Of all the mushrooms, it's one of the most impressive, the most inexpensive, the most easy to get, the most widely used. And this stuff, antiviral, it's absolutely just amazing what reishi can do. And it helps to basically detoxify the pineal gland. What else do we have? Other mushrooms. Okay, I said other for a reason. When I say other mushrooms, anybody know what I'm talking about? Like the kind like in college that make you see funny things. I don't know who actually did it. I always say that. I don't know anybody in college that did mushrooms. It's weird. They were always doing other stuff. Mushrooms, we're talking about psilocybin containing mushrooms. Illegal in the majority of the country, except Denver and a few other places where they pretty much legalized everything, which is handy because we're happy those places exist so we can research this stuff, right? Better them than like next door, but at the same time, it's pretty important. Here's the neuroendocrine associations underlying the persistent therapeutic effects of classic serotogenic psychedelics. Oh, we're starting to study this? Wait a minute. Who's studying mushrooms? Johns Hopkins. Their behavioral science division is all up in the mushrooms. It's so funny. When I went back to the Amazon, the last night we were there, which I'll call hell night, we didn't sleep. We just threw up the entire night. And then couldn't even keep water down. So we're there. What was the guy's name?
Wilson.
He was our innkeeper. And Wilson said, "So are you here as a research scientist?" I said, "Yes." I said, he said, "Are you a medical doctor?" I said, "No, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a naturopathic doctor." He said, "Well, I don't know what that is." And I said, "Well, you should." And I'm just kidding. I said, I told him what I did. And I said, my wife's a nurse. And I told him about it. We talked for a little while. And he looked at me and he said, 40% of the people that come here and stay here are researching ayahuasca. And he said, "There's something different about you." And he looked at me close and he goes, I said, "Yeah." And we just had a moment. Anyway. So the deal is that you can't figure this stuff out, y'all, if you don't have a belief in a higher power. If you don't, then you won't figure it out. If you do, then you can figure it out. Psilocybin. Psilocybin treatment for major depression, effective for up to a year. One dose of psilocybin. Literally, one time that people sit down, eat some funny mushrooms. For 4 hours, they trip out a little bit, see like monkeys and stars and whatever they might see. After the 4 hours they get through, they don't normally, sometimes they may get sick, most of the time they don't, just psilocybin. And after that, for over a year, they're still having the antidepressant effects that they had the day after they did it. Now, I'm not telling you go trip out on mushrooms and start, searching. You know where you can find mushrooms, by the way? In your cow patties. Have you ever?
I quit dragging the fields. Well, I haven't said that, but
Yeah.
we drag the fields and spread it and make it go away.
Right. You might want to do a little picking before you do some dragging. That's another story. They're illegal. They're illegal to consume. They're not illegal to grow on top of your cow patty though. People buy kits all the time. They grow these things. You got to be careful with stuff like this. This is our research. We're learning a lot about microdosing and a lot about things that even ayahuasca microdosing. It's amazing. Here we have some good information. Now we're yellow. The primary role of the pineal gland is regulating sleep patterns by producing melatonin, but the history of this pea-sized structure in the forebrain is much more romantic. That's nice. That's a nice word. Romantic. In ancient Egypt, it represents the eye of the sky god Horus, while in India, it's been associated with the third eye, a mythical gate to higher consciousness. A modern incarnation of these stories originated from DNT, the spirit molecule, a book in which the author and psychiatrist Rick Strassman postulates that large quantities of DMT may be secreted in the dying brain, enabling the transition of consciousness from one life to the next. They've done studies showing that when people die, the pineal gland is the only thing working, and that it's super active until it finally stops, after everything else is shut down. Little chill. Turncoat antibodies. Examinations of the cerebrospinal fluid revealed elevated levels of protein suggesting inflammation in the presence of unsuspected antibodies found in the activated immune system. Some were found in the blood, the cerebrospinal fluid, implying a systematic inflammatory response, or were unique to the cerebrospinal fluid, suggesting that inflammation, while the targets suggesting the brain inflammation. While the targets of these antibodies are unknown, it's possible that these could be turncoat antibodies that attack the body itself. This is post-COVID-19. Why did COVID-19 seem to target the pineal gland so dramatically? The influenza doesn't. Other viruses do. Because it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and possibly because of what you just said. Like you said, Miss Conspiracy Theory. I know you. I don't know you, but I know you. And I like you a lot. Pineal hormone melatonin as a treatment for COVID-19. Y'all, do you remember Donald Trump? Shh. Yeah, this is not political. Don't say a word. Do you remember his protocol for when he contracted COVID-19? Anybody see it? Did anybody wonder why melatonin was in it? Well, guess what? He took melatonin. So it slipped out, and it also he took melatonin along with some other. He took what was that drug that's horrible?
Hydrochloroquine.
No, he took the drug that's horrible, a real bad one. The one that they now know doesn't work. Remdesivir. Okay, so he took that and thankfully lived. But he took that. But he took this. But when he came to Atlanta and their son, they said they opted for an all-natural route. Now, you will not find that anywhere else. But that she's supposedly a believer in natural medicine. Now, very interestingly, he took melatonin. Why on earth would a sleep hormone help with COVID-19 if COVID-19 did not target the pineal gland? I didn't mean for that pause to be so long. The regulation of brain states by neuroactive substances distributed via the cerebrospinal fluid, right? This is all. Are you tying any little connections here? I'm not saying the conspiracy theory. Because I'm sick of that. I don't like that phrase because everybody thinks you're just Alex Jones or something. But the fact is, it's not. This is here. This is reality. I'm showing you raw data. This is all fact. And here we go about tamarind. Let's get back to what's going to get rid of this stuff. Anti-inflammatory effect and potential of tamarind. What about rosemary? Did you know that the rosemary terpenes, rosemary oil, you guys, is something that's absolutely incredible. Every home in the country should have rosemary, especially if your hairline's receding. Because you just dab some of that stuff and scratch it, it'll help. But the rosemary terpenes are very interesting because it's been studied regarding its effect on the pineal gland. Also, wait a minute, beta-pinene. Where do we get beta-pinene from? Beta-pinene is a terpene that comes from pine needle, and there's a beta pinene and there's alpha pinene. Both of those come from essential oils. Okay. We learned with COVID-19, I've always been an herb guy, prior to all this. I mean, now I'm like, being Bushmaster oil guy, whatever works, But I became kind of an essential oil terpene guy when I saw the potency of what the antivirals carbaperal and artemisia and beta pinene did against COVID-19. They're the most impressive terpenes. This is the most impressive therapy, and the most impressive antivirals that you can use are carbaperal, artemisia, beta pinene. These will absolutely just about kill any virus. We've had people with strep throat that were diagnosed. You have strep throat, okay? And literally take a combination of these, and the next day, not have strep throat. They didn't suffer for 4 days with, and people, of course, with COVID-19, we've had 385,000 people who have not contracted COVID-19 simply taking a simple little formula like that. Well, that and elderberry and a few other things, vitamin D3 and stuff. But beta pinene is potent medicine, and it comes from pine needle. The Cherokee used to make, they would boil the pine needles and drink the tea for almost anything. Now look at this. This is the Cleveland Clinic website, right? Now, this is interesting to me because I'm going to zoom in. Can y'all read that? What can I do to keep my pineal gland healthy? Researchers and scientists still don't fully understand the pineal gland, because they don't believe in God, and melatonin and their functions. Because of this, there's no known ways to keep your pineal gland healthy. Are y'all seeing all that? There's no way to keep it healthy, except for all the published clinical data supporting the efficacy for things like tamarind and rosemary terpenes and beta pinene. How much time do we have left?
Well, that's it.
We're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, y'all, we live in a sick world, but there's a reason for everything. Mm-hmm. And what's so cool is that no matter what man, especially European men, have done to this world, God has an answer and made something on this earth that fixes it every single time. Man can't screw this world up enough that it can't be helped. There's not a sick child, a sick adult, a sick person my age, who I don't know what even age I am, who is not capable of being healthier, of being fairly well. I mean, if you've got one leg, you're going to be limping, until you get the right kind of, and there's things that we do to ourselves. There's scars. There's the things that we do. But at the same time, it is absolutely imperative that we understand that we are victims of a world that we have been lied to, manipulated, poisoned, and more or less killed in the name of profits, in the name of convenience, and in the name of ignorance. And I live in one of the most ignorant places on the planet when it comes to things like glyphosate and anything else regarding health, except for holding the door open for people and saying the prayers. Those are nice, but at a certain point, it's like, okay, say your prayers and I pray that Bubba quits using the glyphosate. We live in a world that's sick, and now the sick people aren't just the city people. Matter of fact, you might be healthier in the city sometimes if you go to yoga class and you get your air machine and you eat your vegan diet and you go to, you know what I'm saying, rather than sitting there with Bubba next door with his crop duster, spraying your house with glyphosate and having things like fluoride in your water and not understanding things like your pineal gland. Our pineal glands are under attack. Why do you think? Why do you think? Does us having a greater connection spiritually to whatever you believe in, does that help the government? Does that help the news or the media? Does it help? Do they want people free thinking? Do they want people questioning? They don't want that. They just want us mindless drones. They eventually just want us sitting here with a screen all day long, So we just get up to go to the bathroom. Matter of fact, probably just go to the bathroom on yourself. There's tubes and hoses. Why not? We got tubes in our mouth. We'll have hoses here. We'll have hoses there, and we'll be sitting there with you know, your what do they call it? Virtual reality. And you know what we'll be doing? You'll be sitting there going for 12 hours a day until you finally go to sleep. And you'll eat.
Sound like the Matrix.
You know, I intentionally only saw that one time, and I'm like, no, I can't. This guy can't watch that show because, you know. But what I'm saying is that this is true. We are in the Matrix, figuratively. Maybe in reality. I mean, we're not quite there yet, but they want us to be. And who's they? I don't even want to say, but I know that they aren't good. And I know that the answers lie in us having these conversations, walking away with it. If you want this PowerPoint, I just give it to you. Give Deborah your email address, and we'll send out a mass email, and we'll blind copy everybody so y'all creep on each other. And we'll be able to just send it because, and then on my T Gandhi, I guess just, you know, maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
T Gandhi after the original, or maybe I'll just do T Gandhi tomorrow if everybody here has already seen it. Or I don't think that's gonna be the case. We'll probably have to do both, but it'll be a good one. But I tell you, folks, we're in, this is a rough world, but outside of this building, there are hundreds of answers, you know, just sitting there, and there's clinical data on most of it. You just gotta dig it up. That's all. Any questions? Comment.
Where sin does abound, grace does much more.
What did you just say?
Where sin does abound, grace does much more.
Exactly. You know, we need to help people. We need to spread the word. We also can't be bitter.
My wife told me to make this announcement. I really don't know how to make this announcement. She said that